Nobody knows. Nobody knows. If somebody on Wall Street claims to know what's gonna happen, they're full of shit. They're either super lucky or they're just trying to scam you. So don't listen to it. Anyway, that's the market. It's not looking good. We're all gonna get wrecked. Jeez. So ugly. Ugly, ugly. Ugly stuff. I mean, if you zoom out, right, it still looks okay. We're like giant. Remember what I said about red candles? Girls don't like red candles. This is like anxiety. When you have anxiety doing sexy time, this is what you get. You get red candles that's pointing down. Girls like this. Girls like big green candles going up, right? Because when you point down, you can't do anything with your tool. So what's the point? So let's hope the red candle stops. Let's hope the market pops on pills and get back up to the green. Now, let's talk about Russia. I know this is not a political channel. I know. But you can't ignore the events that's happening because it explains why are we going down all the time? Why are we getting wrecked? This event that's happening right now is the reason. Even though it doesn't make sense why it is the reason, but the thing about market in general, market doesn't go down simply because of bad news. Market likes to go down because of uncertainties. When you have unknown in the future, when you have people who are not certain about what's going to happen to their money, to their savings, they usually like to pull out. They like to take the money out and then be safe because maybe they're near the retirement age. They don't want to be risky. People don't like uncertainties. When you don't have a direction of where things are going, people like to pull out their money and be safe. Now, the events that lead up to what's happening today was this whole Russian-Ukraine conflict. Russian-Ukraine conflicts that caused the whole market to get scared because they don't know, up until today, they didn't know what Russia is going to do. They don't know what Vladimir Putin is going to do to the country and what they're planning. So they pull out the money, and that's why we have these crazy downwards movement for the past few days because everybody pulled out of the money and they didn't want to risk all that money. Now, the only silver lighting I see is that their fund is still with them. They probably deploy it in some other means of investment. So as soon as all of these conflicts are done, all of these uncertainties are done, they're likely to put their money back into the market. So we will see a day when we go up a big candle, big green candles. We will see it. It's just that I don't think it'll be anytime soon because of the ongoing conflicts. Now here's a map of Ukraine and Russia. So for those of you who don't know the geography, Ukraine is on the eastern border of Europe. It's a country. It's one of the biggest countries in Europe on the eastern border, right below Belarus and right next to Russia. Now, there's been a historical conflict between Russia and Ukraine, specifically the Crimea region. Russia actually took control of that in 2014. Now, this is now an area controlled by Russia. Now, I wasn't into politics. I wasn't into world events. I don't know what the United States did during that time. However, there are also areas in Ukraine where people support it. They want to be taken by Russia. They don't want to be under European or Western country control. They would like to go back to Mother Russia. So these are the countries that are supporting Russia. And Russia say, we got your back. We're going to come in here and we're going to take you back as well. Basically, what Russia is doing is they want an excuse to take areas in Ukraine into Russia, to absorb into Russia, because it's bordering right next to Russia. Now, Ukraine is a huge country. For those of you who don't know, Ukraine, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Ukraine has the biggest holding of nuclear arsenal in the country, the third largest. So first was the United States, second is Russia, and third was Ukraine. They had a lot of nuclear warheads in the country because former Soviet Union dumped, stockpiled a lot of warheads in the country. So what did Ukraine do? Well, Ukraine decided to give up all of those nuclear weapons. I'm not making this up. There was There's news of it. Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapons. So during after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So why did they do that? Well, they did that because Western countries came in and said, hey, we're going to protect you against Russia if you give up your weapons. So this is in 1994. So thousands of nuclear arms has been left in Ukraine by Moscow after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. But in the years that followed, Ukraine made the decision to completely denuclearize. Good on them. Nobody wants a nuclear war. In exchange, the US, UK, and Russia will guarantee Ukraine's security in a 1994 agreement known as the Budapest Memorandum. So it's actually three countries, US, UK, and Russia. They will guarantee the Ukraine's security. So as you know, it's totally out of the window today. Russia was like, okay, just give up your weapons. US, UK too. Give up your nuclear weapons. We'll make sure we play nice. We'll make sure we don't invade your country. We'll make sure that you'll be cool, because he's like, Ukraine is like a sandwich jammed between Russia and proxy war between the United States and Western countries. It's a very tough spot. So this is the reality. They gave out their weapon. Now they're totally vulnerable. If you don't have nuclear weapons, you don't have any threats for any country that wants to invade them. If the country wants to invade them, they can just do so because they're not afraid of your nuclear weapons. So that's what's happening. And no, as you guys know, what happened is that the war broke out last night. So many people believe that Russians are only attacking the eastern border of Ukraine, right here, because it's close to Russia. But that's not true. What's happening? This is confirmed by the people inside Ukraine. What's happening is that Russia is actually attacking the country from all ends, all around the country. As you can see, there's many reports of explosions and warheads going off, tanks and helicopters all over the country. This is a planned attack by Russia. Russia knows what it's doing, and it's just gonna do it. They plan all of this. They know the specific areas they want to attack, and it's all around the country. It's not just on the eastern border. So you gotta keep that in mind. And there are a lot of footages of, on Twitter right now, of these attack helicopters going around the country. Like, imagine you are in your country, you go outside and you see this stuff. Look at this. Dropping bombs, like, look at this. These are crazy warheads. Look at this. Holy shit. These are deadly weapons. Imagine them dropping. So I think this is, let's see, footage from airport Kiev shows Russian helicopter coming under attack. Okay, so this is Ukraine defending themselves by hitting these Russian helicopters. So again, I am not sure these footages are recent or old. I am just showing you what's on Twitter. It may not be real, but who knows? It looks pretty real. So, one helicopter down. That's from the Russian helicopter. Look at this crazy giant warhead down here. So, the conflict is happening. The fight is real. It's happening again. So you got helicopters all over your country. This is an air assault from the Russian military. If you're a country like Ukraine, now what are you gonna do? Didn't the US or the NATO allies promise to protect the country? Well, what did the US do? Well, the US currently, what they announced. Oh, those are flares? My bad. Thanks for clarifying that. Anyway, so what the US promised was that we will protect you, Ukraine. If Russia comes to you, we will protect you. We will make sure nothing happens. Well, I don't know. NATO sent some troops over there. And NATO and European countries, they're going to announce some crazy hard sanction on Russia. Like, what can they do, right? I mean, this is like the step before the actual warfare. They're announcing harsh sanctions on the Russian country to make sure their economies get wrecked for the actions they took today. I'm pretty sure Putin already knew about this. He already knew these sanctions are coming. So a good war strategist can foresee all of these things before they happen. That's why they went ahead with the attack. They know how the United States is going to react, and they know how the NATO is going to react. But this is all according to their plan. I don't know what their end goal is. I don't know what they're planning, but certainly, like right now, this is what's happening. So NATO said they're not gonna go in because like there's a huge implication of getting actually involved in defending the country. Like, is Ukraine our business? Is Ukraine the United States business? It's a country that's like on the eastern border of Europe. Is this a business of the United States? Is this a business of NATO? Russia is testing NATO right now. They're testing NATO. NATO's been saying all this time, like, we're united force. It's the strongest force in the world right now. Strongest united force in the world. They're saying, like, don't play dumb. Don't play these games, because if you do these things, we're going to step in and do something. Well, Russia called their bluff. Basically, they just decide to do whatever the hell they want. They don't care. They're just going to go in and do this. Now, what are you going to do? The move is on NATO. What is NATO going to do? So, you do search on NATO. I don't know what NATO is going to do. They're holding like an emergency meeting. So like, this is the thing, right? You have to really think about what you're going to do, because there's a potential for escalating the conflict into a much bigger thing than it is right now. What the Russian government is saying is that they're just carrying out an operation to demilitarize Ukraine, because a lot of people in Ukraine don't want to be back with Russia. Only some areas want to be back in Russia. So Russia is just saying, oh, we're going to demilitarize you so we can protect those regions that wants to be back with Russia. But this is, I think this is an excuse for them to just go into the country and do this kind of stuff. And think about it. Like, Russia, they know what they're doing. So this is the chart of US debt owned by Russia. If you look at it, 2010, they own 160, I think this is billion, right? Or trillion? Billion. I don't know. They own this much in 2010. By 2021, they own this much. Now, you'll be like, oh, did Russia pay off all their debt? Why did Russia pay it off? How did they pay it off this much? From 160 to 4? They paid off a ton of their debt to the United States. What's the reason? Well, the reason is Russia was selling a lot of oil from their country to the United States, to European countries. Russia still has like pretty big oil reserve. So, and that is why the price of oil has been going up. So with this conflict going on, they know that the European countries, United States, it's gonna say, we're not gonna sell you, we're not gonna buy oil from you now, we're not gonna do business with you, Russia, we're not gonna do anything with you. We're gonna just cut off your finance. So, but oil runs the world, guys. Like right now, oil runs the world. When you cut off supply of oil from a specific country, that means you have less supply. And when you have less supply, what happens? Oil price goes up. And that is exactly what's happening. The Brent crude oil, it's been up. If you look at the chart, look at it. It's flying. The reason is there's going to be less supply of oil. When you have less supply, the demand stays the same, then the price is going to go up. So if you're a smart trader, you would have went into oil and commodities in like the past 2 months, So this is why you have to connect these dots together, because when you connect the dots together, you see why things go up. There's a reason. There's always a reason for any of that. So yeah, like, let me see what you guys say. Yeah, Russia has almost no debts. They're one of the richest countries in the world. Their debt's like 92%. So exactly. So they're preparing. They're preparing. They don't need outside countries to sustain their economy. But I also read I'm not an expert on Russia, right? I read somewhere that Russia is also pretty poor itself. as far as like economic development goes, because it's a different country, it's like a communist country. There's limited capitalism in there, limited freedom for, innovation and stuff. But who knows? It could be propaganda. I don't know. Anyway, so like these. Oh my god, I don't want to show this. Whoops. Yeah, it's terrible. I've seen pictures. So I've seen a video where a missile went into an apartment and killed a kid. I didn't see the death, but I saw the apartment going out with flames. I also saw a video inside Ukraine where the dude was just on a bicycle and he got hit directly. He got hit by a warhead on the street when he was riding a bicycle. It wasn't a direct hit, so he survived. He survived and was crawling around after the missile hit. It was disgusting. Like, it's crazy how it's come to this. Alright, the market's opened. Yeah, 2.4. This is disgusting. Disgusting. Wow, we're looking at bear market. Look at this. We're looking at bear market, and I think this whole Russia thing is going to take us to bear market. Holy shit, Nasdaq down 3%. 3.36%. Wait, oh, it's 2.57 now. Jeez. Ugly, ugly, ugly. So that is like what's happening in Russia. Like people, like what do we want to happen? Nobody wants this. Nobody wants some fights except for Russia. What is there, like Putin literally threatened a few weeks ago saying nobody wants this, but if people want it, we will do it. Like, it's freaking nuts. Wow. 3.26% down Nasdaq. Disgusting, disgusting.